Olafur.
Thank you, Theo. His Holiness, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for having me here. What you see in this picture is a very small solar panel on the roof right above us. It is very much above this sphere which you see up here, so what you see glowing in this sphere is actually the sun shining outside. Thinking about it, it is not a functional light. It's not a pragmatic solution. It is, in fact, a, should I say, emotional story about the light or the power outside of this room. And as an artist, I believe it is incredibly important to, when talking about the world, to explain it both in functional, pragmatic terms, but also in emotional and non-quantifiable terms. This is how it looks once you are a bit closer. I've been interested in what types of space, what type of artwork can in fact host great diversity. This is a sun-like installation. It's a space at the Tate Modern in London, some 10 years ago, in which people were invited in to become a work of art themselves. So instead of suggesting the art is on the wall, or it is on the floor, it is in fact the whole space, and you cannot separate yourself or distinct yourself from what is art and what is not. This allowed people to do all sorts of things, and more than 2 million people came to visit, and many people used this as an opportunity to express themselves, Your Holiness. What was interesting was, in fact, people were sharing the space, acknowledging that they were not having the same experience. The fact that you and I might not fully agree on what we were seeing, but this could, in fact, be an amplifier to our friendship. So in a world where most spaces seem to host polarization or populistic, let's say, arguments which leads to one part having to leave, the spaces of culture, or in this case a work of art, is in fact exercising a methodology where His Holiness and I, we can be together even without having to fully agree on everything, which I think is a great resource. We spoke about the simple things, such as climbing a tree the other day, thanks to Paulina. This is a work of art which is a rainbow. And as we know, with rainbows, His Holiness, where do they come from? Clearly, the sun has a certain role here. In this case, it's a small light again. And water, of course. But do we not also need the eye? So the effort of the eye, we could argue, is in fact what co-creates the rainbow. Looking at a rainbow, we also know scientifically, standing in two different situations, we do not see the same rainbow. So we have the same experience, we have a common language, but by all means we do not theoretically or technically actually see the same rainbow, because the rainbow depends on our eyes. Interestingly, when I show this rainbow, people, they put their hand into the rainbow, and they know very well it's water. And then they say, oh, I got wet. And it is as if the mind and the body had not been connected until that very moment when they touched the water. And I say, yes, you touched the water, you got wet. One can translate this idea of the rainbow into a larger, a more architectural, an urban idea, inviting people to actually, should I say, walk in the rainbow or become a rainbow. Walking in the green area, you will have a green world. And what is needed to change the color is, of course, you moving. If you choose to stand still, the color will not change. I worked with natural phenomena, taking things from culture and introducing them into urban settings. This is in New York, a waterfall under the Brooklyn Bridge. Enjoying the water falling is, of course, also about creating a space which we share together. This is a project in Albania and Tirana, not long after Tirana was opened, and I invited the civic society, come and share what it means to build a society. This is Lego bricks, a big table, a sort of city plan. And after a few days, His Holiness, the boy who was selling cigarettes on the street was standing at this table, and the policeman who was normally busy chasing this boy away, he would be at the same table, having a dialogue with his child whether a house or a sort of situation should be like this or like that. Similarly, I have worked over the years with many scientists, with many experimental scientists, mathematicians. I have approached this from a phenomenological point of view, and I, in fact, in the late 90s, was very inspired by Francisco Varela. From Francisco, I came to Michel Bitbol and to Evan Thompson through phenomenology into collaborating closely with science. These are the mock-ups at my studio. These are all the experiments. These are the successful and certainly also the failed experiments. Making models of the world is very much about making the world accessible. This is the COP22 in Paris, and as we know, the politicians, the scientists, the people who work with big data, they were gathering, which is very important, of course, but the people on the ground, the common people, the people who feel maybe disconnected with this discussion about the climate. What do I know? It's in Greenland, the ice. It's so far away. Maybe if I show the ice, I thought in Paris, in the center of the city, people would walk up, look at this ice, and they would immediately, just like the rainbow, say, oh, this is ice. And then they would put their hand on it and say, oh, it's cold. And then say, oh, yes, it's ice. But this is so interesting, I think, because suddenly they were touching the glacier in Greenland. So we shipped these 220 tons of ice to Paris, proposing the opportunity for people to learn, well, what are they talking about? So in a second, you could get the story, the emotional narrative, the non-quantifiable narrative from the science made accessible to the rest of us. The future, of course, is central here. And there are many ways one can touch ice. And again, I think this is an opportunity to address the fact when you're dealing with art, we all know there is a situation where, how should I say it? There's a situation where you see, and I should say culture because it could be a theater play, it could be a great book, a film, or a piece of music, or a dance. You look at something and you suddenly go, oh, I know that feeling. This is me. The book is about me. And the book is, in fact, reflecting a not yet verbalized, a subconscious, emotional need. It is as if this artwork saw me. It spoke on my behalf. It's expressing what I want to say, which means I'm not so bad after all. I'm okay. I'm good enough. I went to a museum, and I did not go to the museum to sort of see art. I came to be seen by the art, by the museum. And I walk out of there and I say, I was reflected, one could say.
Yes.
So, Your Highness, the word inclusion came up yesterday with such great gravity. I think culture has this power of inclusion on many levels. On the caring level, by reflecting people's emotional needs. So people, they see, oh, I'm actually a part of a civic society. I can be a part of civic trust. I worked with combining power and care. I actually have a little work of art with me here, Your Highness. This is a solar panel. And this is the sunlight. Actually, this is the sunlight in Berlin, because I charged it in Berlin 2 days ago. So what I hold in my hand is on one side a pragmatic thing. It's a solar panel, a small battery, and an LED. But on the other side, it is also something that makes me feel connected, interdependent. I feel like I have my own power station. I am powerful, but in a caring way. The reason why I've made an effort, just like with this work of art, to propose that this is, in fact, an emotional thing. It's to suggest that light is not just pragmatic. Light is not just about getting the things done. Light is also about happiness. It's about how I feel, and it's about, well, do my day offer me the opportunity to do non-quantifiable things? Can I have a party? Maybe I can dance. On the picture we see a school class in Rwanda and one school class in Los Angeles, I believe. We have worked very hard to create a language which says, well, what is what unites us? How do we feel? And what feelings do we have that we share? We have tried to build an economical model of bringing light to where there's no access to energy. Because about 1 billion people in the world do not have access to energy. Every 1 in 7 persons do not have access to energy, meaning that they are using petroleum or fossil fuels as their primary source, which is very bad for the climate, and it's also very bad for the respiratory conditions. So, inspiringly hearing Theosopha's amazing idea of something which is grown bottom up, something which comes from a messy system, because this is based on selling at the bottom of the pyramid. This is based on selling through everybody sharing a little bit. This is in fact in Nepal, just briefly after the earthquake, where Roshi Halifax courageously got a lot of people together, and they made a huge effort bringing access to energy into places where energy had suddenly collapsed and failed, allowing work to go on into the night and allowing also the comfort of the light at times where there was a lot of darkness. Thank you so much, His Holiness.
Thank you so much, Olafur, for beautifully weaving art and culture into power and care and the ability to actually drive change. Your Holiness, would you like to intervene at the moment, or would you prefer to wait?
It's a beautiful presentation.
As a Buddhist practitioner, the substance is not case.
But it's very different from the scientific presentation, which is driven by data.
Wonderful, very wonderful. I think this shows, see, your sort of brain, something creative.
Very creative. Yeah.
That's very good. That's very good.
Thank you.